Today we're working with our tweens, our intermediate kids, to solve the puzzle of anatomy. Hi, I'm Nadine Thornhill, sexuality educator. Welcome to my series, Safe Sex Ed, where I teach every sex education module from Ontario's Health and Phys Ed curriculum. Welcome back, unless you are new here, in which case, welcome to my channel. You can find out more about this series by clicking the eye above me, and you can subscribe to my channel by clicking the button that says subscribe. It's underneath this screen. The Health and Phys Ed curriculum for grades 1 through 8 outline the following objectives for grade 5. Identify the parts of the reproductive system. In the curriculum, it does say reproductive system. I tend to use the term sexual anatomy because that collection of body parts does include the primary sex characteristics. And while, most everyone has some combination of these body parts, not everybody wants to or chooses to use them for reproduction. Also, I can't say reproduction, so there you go. For today's activity, you're going to need a few different materials. You're going to need some construction paper in different colors. You are going to need some markers, some scissors, some plain paper, and a couple of envelopes. You're also going to need to bring your crafting skills because you are going to be creating 4 large puzzles. Not jigsaw puzzles, sexual anatomy puzzles, 2 internal anatomy puzzles, and 2 external anatomy puzzles. If you're not feeling super creative or you don't have access to the crafting materials, don't worry, I'm going to have some downloadable PDFs that you can use as templates, or you can, copy them and have them enlarged and actually cut out the pieces and use those for your puzzle. You're also going to make anatomy labels with the name and a brief description of each puzzle part. So again, I will have that as a downloadable PDF. All of that will be available on my website. You can click on the eye up above me, or you can check the description box down below for the link. So you're going to put all of the labels that apply to people born with ovaries in one envelope. You are going to put all the labels that apply to people born with testicles in the other envelope. You are going to divide your class into 2 teams and explain to them that they are going to be competing in a puzzle race challenge, and that this race has 2 parts. In the first part of the challenge, the teams will race to a spot on the floor where they will find a pile of puzzle pieces. All of these pieces belong to the same body and are part of 2 separate puzzles: the external sexual anatomy and the internal sexual anatomy. As a team, they have to assemble both puzzles correctly. When they think they have finished assembling both those puzzles and they think everything is in the right place, they are going to shout, "Done!" You come over and you are going to check their puzzle. If it is not correct, say, "Try again." Don't give them any hints and leave them to rearrange their pieces. If both puzzles are correct, hand a group the envelope with the labels that correspond to their body puzzles. Now the groups must correctly label each part on both of their puzzles. Again, when the group thinks that they have done this correctly, they are going to shout, "Done." You are going to come over and check their work. If they have not done it correctly, you will tell them to try again. The first group to correctly assemble both of their puzzles and label all of their body parts correctly wins the challenge. As I said in our anatomy lesson for primary students, we can talk about sexual anatomy without connecting it to gender. Now, saying people with ovaries and people with testicles does take a little longer than saying girls and boys, but it's literally just a little bit longer, like 1 second longer. And it really helps to avoid the messiness and confusion of having to learn one thing about gender and then having to unlearn it later. You can also take the opportunity here to explain that while most people are born with one of these 2 sets of sexual anatomy, there are some people who are born with different sexual anatomy that can be a combination of both. And this is called being intersex. But Nadine, you might say, why would we bother when estimates tell us that only 1 in about 1,500 people is born intersex? To which I say, I am impressed that you know that statistic, critical viewer. But also, that means that somewhere around 9,000 people in our province alone are born intersex, and most of them have or will go to public school. So they are amongst us. They are part of our community, so let's include them. If you have the material and the time and the ability, you can actually recreate this activity with your kid and even compete in the challenge with them. You know, see what you remember about sexual anatomy. If you don't have time for all of that, or you don't have the materials available, you can also use the PDF download and just read it over and look at it with your child at home. Now, here are some conversation prompts if you want to dive a little deeper into this topic with your kids. Do you know how your sexual anatomy will change as you get older and move into puberty? Do you know which other parts of your body might change as you move into puberty? A couple of great books that cover sexual anatomy or the reproductive system are It's Perfectly Normal by Robie Harris. It's sort of a follow-up to the book that we mentioned in the Anatomy for Primary Kids. And also Nonnie Talks About Sex and More, which is written by an awesome friend of mine, Mary Jo Podgurski. I love her books. That's a really great one to cover not only sexual and reproductive anatomy, but a lot of topics around, sexuality for kids of this age. Encyclopedias often have really great diagrams of different human systems, including the reproductive or sexual systems. And if you don't have a set of encyclopedias, you can find them at most libraries. Finally, the Wikipedia entry on the human reproductive system is actually pretty decent if you are looking for some, basic explanations of what all those body parts do. I generally don't recommend Wikipedia, but in this case, it does a good job. Good on you, Wikipedia. In the comments below, let me know when you first learned about sexual anatomy, particularly internal sexual anatomy. I learned in 6th grade, which was the first time I had taken sex ed in health class, and it was right in the nick of time because right after that unit, I started getting my period. And I was like, hey, ovaries at work, I know what's up. That's all for now. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you real soon. Bye. You can help me continue creating free sex ed content by supporting me on Patreon. For as little as $3 a month, you'll get access to all sorts of goodies, so head on over to patreon.com/Nadine Thornhill or click the link down in the description below.